Welcome back. So, to continue the tradition of opening these videos by welcoming you, regardless of you've been here, and slapping a tool, we have a new tool to play with today. It's a circle cutter. You can tell because there is a smiley face that looks a little like a snowman, and it cuts circles. This is going to be a little unhinged. I have had COVID all last week, and now I am in a garage sweating myself all the way to the bone in about 10 minutes. So, here's the deal. You clamp a piece of copper or brass between I was going to say cheeks, between the two plates. You have these circular cutters that have a sharp end, and using a 2-pound brass hammer as opposed to a hard steel hammer, you bang on the back. That you can tell it's the back because it is the chamfered edge. Yep, there we go. Fun fact, that's the first time that I've done that where it bounced out of the hole with no problems. I was very pleased. It does create a little sharp edge, but we have a circle of copper, and all you had to do was clamp it between the cheeks. So, what can we do with it? You probably saw the thumbnail, so something. But you can do a lot of things with circles. You can make pretty designs. You could cut a circle twice and make a little moon. You could just sort of round out your sensibilities. Because it's a circle. Let's do it again. And again, it just bounces out. So this 1 inch is a pleasure to make. The bigger it gets, the more force is involved. And this isn't the most expensive plate. It was not cheap. But at the smaller sizes, I'm really enjoying how it cuts. It was like $170. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but the time savings, if this works, is pretty awesome. It doesn't take much time to clamp and unclamp. I can make circles. I don't have to drill a pilot hole, saw it out. I don't have to do any rigmarole. Granted, all this does is make circles. You can do a lot with a circle. Name something you can't do with a circle. I dare you. Sorry, I'm getting way more aggro than I should. So, we are going to use a harder metal. This is a brass sheet. No, bronze. And we're going to get the biggest one possible. Yep. Swing 1. Didn't happen. 2. Didn't happen. 3. Yeah, you could get the stuff off of your table. So there we go. We get some movement. The circle is cut, but it is 100% stuck in there right now, and it requires a little beating to get out of there. I'm unhinged, but I'm not doing more innuendo than that. So just sort of getting it up, I was like, this is, oh God, you know, I said I wasn't going to do more innuendo, but you can see what's happening. I have to gently get it out. Again, not on purpose. So, boards up. Hit it with a piece of wood. I'm just moving on, and there we go. Everything's free, happy, copacetic. And now we get to look at the back of my hand for about 2 to 5 straight minutes. You can take care of the burr on the back now. Hand files, sandpaper, whatever your method is. But I also found that wasn't super necessary for the dome because I can sand that off later without a lot of trouble. Now, just editor talking here, which is me, and that's also my hands. This works. This does good. I do a bad job of showing it, but also consider that I have dehydrated almost instantaneously. Walking into the garage, I was dry. Leaving the garage, I was soaking wet through all of my clothes. But the process is pretty quick and pretty simple to get little round discs. You do want to use, what I found was, you want to use a bigger dome and then work your way into a smaller one, and it gives you a better result. So you make it shallow, and then you sort of gradually build up to it. I didn't find it was super necessary to anneal anything. Just don't overhammer it. It would be very difficult to overhammer it, but I'm guessing that you could. So the small domes have a different fate than the larger domes. I'm talking through this like the back of my hand is not just in ultra high definition and really, really upsetting to look at. But now you can also say that you know me like the back of your hand. No, the back of my hand. Ugh. Yeah. No, that phrase is different as an adult. That phrase is a lot different as an adult. I don't like it. Anyway, so the bronze does hammer a little more difficult. I got very squeaky, but it doesn't really matter. You're hitting it with a hammer. Something is going to happen. And in this case, it made a circle, a dome, which is the only thing that I wanted. It doesn't provide too much resistance. You do need to center it pretty well before you take your first hit. Now, this is the fun part. This is the first thing that I thought of after... Well, this is the first thing I thought of after trying it, but adding textures to metals, if you've seen other things on my channel that are similar, I really like doing it. And this creates a faceted, jewel-like texture without the need to hand file. It hardens the copper, which I'm going to undo almost instantaneously later, but it doesn't affect the inside, and it just makes a really neat texture. This hammer is polished, so the polished hammer, every time you hit something, just leaves sort of a polished surface. Now, moving on, I am finding that the dap of the dapping block, I guess that's what it's called, you just using it like an anvil kind of works. And this is my favorite texture hammer of all time. I did see a method on Silvermeister's channel, no relation, on how to make your own texturing hammer, and I am super excited to try that. I really want to do it. That it involves acid and nail polish, and honestly, it's just a good time. It seems like a good time. So, you can see what's happening. Really cool texture. Really cool metal. Nobody loses. I do go around the outside and add a little bit extra. I feel like this might not be super necessary in retrospect, but also, who's going to stop me? It's not you. It's not me. I didn't stop me. I'd like to emphasize that I am not dehydrated right now. This is a very awake me. So, more textures. The polished peen of the hammer makes this really cool, very mushroom-like feeling, and I really, really dig it. It's very cool. It's not cool because I'm telling you it's cool. It's cool because I think it's cool. You do not have to find something cool that you do not find cool. You know what's cool? Letting me know if this is the kind of thing you like. I know that this voiceover is a little more insane than the normal ones, but honestly, they'll probably only get more insane. More textures. Here is an old $2 hammer. that we got at a Goodwill, and I'm using it on the little bronze sort of dome. And this one was tiring. I don't know if it's audible, but anytime you see me stopping, I'm literally taking a second to breathe because I have been so severely out of practice. And it's just a little bit heavier than the other jewelry hammers. But making some headway, it still gets done. Oh, if you want to subscribe for more of this nonsense, feel free. It lets me know that I did a good job, because that's the only metric in my life that means anything, which is not true. This is still just a fun hobby. This is not anything else. But if you do like it, then consider doing whatever you want. Anyway, all the YouTube stuff aside, we have a pretty little dome. So, need a piece of wire. We're going to turn these. We're going to turn 3 of these into mushrooms. If you don't have a wire bender, I wholeheartedly encourage you not to use one. If you do have a wire bender, do it. Because why not? So I'm making a little base. This could be buried into the soil. This idea was not mine originally. A friend came into my garage, and we just made stuff. And I was like, I have to do this because it's such a good idea, and I never thought of it. I have all the stuff to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So, a little bit of solder at the underside of the cap, and you're watching me remember that soldering something other than a ring has different rules. There is no solder on the end of that piece of wire. It was not tinned. And I fully expected that this worked flawlessly right now. I also did not flux the end of it. And you know what? Success comes in many forms. Shit. Sometimes it comes from retrying when you fully mess up. So, clean off the end, round it over a little bit. Add flux. My flux bottle fell on the ground and the top completely broke, so I have to fix that later. I'm tinning the top of this like it was an electronic, as opposed to what I'm normally doing with jewelry. I'm just using the silver solder that I have on hand, and it's hard silver solder, so it is taking its sweet time to just melt. Gotta love that. But it does. It does. Any day now. Okay, cool. There's still the solder that was originally in the bottom. I fluxed the bottom even if it doesn't matter. I did it anyway. I got everything to the point where I could feel it sort of slip in, and then take the fire away. So that's a good bond. Don't look at the underside if you don't want to, or do. Make your own choices. Mushroom in. Okay, it stayed in. Tiny mushroom. I really like how that comes out. I know I've been talking for 14 minutes straight, but anyway, so our little domed jewel textured objects. I flattened the bottom on a diamond stone. I'm going to drill a hole in one of them and slip almost instantaneously. Love that Fordham tool. Now this is something that can be fixed with a hand file, so just get it out of the way. If you don't know what I'm about to do, I'm about to do something that I am positive doesn't work. I'm positive that this doesn't work, but I'm going to try it anyway. I drilled a hole so I didn't accidentally make a tiny copper pipe bomb that explodes and kills me. I'm going to try and connect the two halves of the domes. You're on the shot for a long time. There we go. So, I'm thinking right now how to solder them together. Both sides have been sanded so that they're flat. They sit flushly together. It wouldn't require a lot of solder, so I'm thinking tiny hard chips that I've had for a very long time. And then I realized that I am so bad at precisely and carefully placing down solder that when I managed to get one, I'm like, this is fine. But I also couldn't see that it stayed in place. So if you've ever just been lucky, that's what you're looking at right now. You're looking at me just being lucky. I am turning off the light so I can see the colors of things. And thin copper does sort of changes. It heats up quicker than I am used to. So I'm being very, very careful. And what I think I need to do is hard solder the outside. Just something to flow, but it refuses to melt the solder, and I feel like I'm going to melt my little piece of, my little sort of copper almond. So I give up. It doesn't go. But that tiny chip that I put down worked. It has no reason to have worked, but it did. No. But only in one spot. So it's not super strong, but the surfaces were flush, so it didn't just, like, do it. It, like, did it. So that's a tiny thing. That's a tiny copper clam, I guess. Oh, God. So, it didn't burn my desk. Don't be silly. Please don't be silly. After dunking it, it is a gorgeous color. Anyway, another experiment. Thinner wire. And having already used the bronze dome, it's time to use the copper ones. Just like before, tin the tip. Just like this was an electronic. Except the solder is more expensive. And the copper is thicker, probably. I was mesmerized by the flame. I'm always mesmerized by the flame. So, this is a little sort of two-for-dealy, and I remembered to flux the bottom. I forgot to add solder to it again. If you're ever worried about heat, you can see the other copper thing boiling the flux away because of the proximity of the fire. So remember that you have to be careful and you can't set your lathe on fire. It's a very specific situation. If you have a lathe to set on fire, don't do it. Done. Now you have a very hot piece of copper. Okay, all right. You need to settle. Thank you. We have pretty copper mushrooms. I do like using something to accentuate. I do like shiny copper coming through an oxide. Not necessary, but I'm using just a micro mesh pad and doing what feels fine. So that's the buff side and that's the unbuff side. I do like the buff side more. So I do it to both. I don't know what to do with the copper almond. I could put a hole in it. It could be a necklace. It could just exist. I could put it in a bowl of almonds and not tell anybody, and that's illegal. Don't do it. The law will find you. I will find you. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so here is an unnecessarily long, sped up buffing montage, but I do like it. Another thing that you can do is drop some of this stuff into something that will give it a patina, and that just seems like a good time. That's just fun around the house. So now that this is cool enough to touch, which did not take long, I do the same thing. I just want to see the ridges get a little polished. That's all I want. And in retrospect, I could have done more consistent textures to make it feel like it's the same mushroom, but honestly, what are you going to do? This is done, and I won't do it again. I'll probably do it again. So there we go. There is a bronze mushroom with a brass wire, because I didn't realize it was brass, and 2 little mushrooms. So it is a little hard to film, but I'm hopeful that it comes through, that this looks like you could put it in a flower pot and just have a permanent mushroom that's there. No one's having a bad time. And also, there's an infinite number of variations that this could go through. I kind of want to do several different experiments. They're very fun. I'll do it again. You cannot stop me. Why would you? Anyway, thank you for watching. I feel like insane voiceover is the only thing that will happen from here on out. Because if you follow this like a tutorial, you're going to burn your house down. Please be safe, have fun, and if you make something cool, share it. I genuinely like seeing other people's creations. It's a good time. And if you like other jewelers, check out Silvermeister. Literally doesn't say a word, makes incredible jewelry out of silver, gold, and just whatever he has laying around. It's fantastic. And it's also not unhinged. Maybe that's a positive, maybe it's a negative. You get to decide. Thank you. Have a good day. And bye.